Hello, everyone, and welcome to the December Crescendo Wave podcast. We're going to review what's happened over the last few weeks in November 2025. I'm joined by Jake, Matty, and Mucky. So there's a few topics to start with. Gentlemen, how are we? How are we feeling with the league so far and performances? Starting with you, Jake.
Yeah, I think at the start of the season I joked about the playoff final being the one to aim for, but it's really started to look a little bit more likely. It's an odd season. I think I'd really say it's quite similar to back when Moyes left Everton and wasn't quite sure what would hold after that. Martinez came in and we just seemed to take off from there for at least for a little bit. And it sort of feels a little bit the same going from the safe hands of Youngie onto Bobby Grant. And yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that sometimes I haven't questioned some decisions in some games, but overall, I don't think anyone can have many complaints about how we are at the minute.
Great stuff. And how about you, Matty?
Did anyone get a timer there on how long it took Jake to mention Everton? I think that was probably about 30 seconds.
I've got one eye on the
Um,
game at the minute as well, so it's all right.
no, it's true. I think the last podcast I was on was when we just had a few defeats, the Radcliffe, Darlington debacle, etc. And I mentioned that I'd cooled off on my automatic promotion hopes, but since then we're well and truly back. We're getting automatic promotion. I've seen enough. No, but the last few weeks have just been brilliant, haven't they? I mean, we've sort of rekindled that home form that we had when we beat Buxton and Bedford in August. And we've had the wins against Telford, Stocksbridge, and obviously Kidderminster as well. Yeah, it's just absolutely made up with how we've started, to be honest. As we said on the Kidderminster podcast, Adam, that our defence has just been imperious since Anson and Drysdale came in. And we knew that if we could sort of nick a goal or two against them, then we don't give up much at the back at all. And that's exactly what came to be. So I was absolutely made up with that. And just the season in general has been brilliant, yeah.
How about you, Mucky? Has anyone been standing out for you?
Yeah, obviously after Radcliffe, it wasn't looking too great, was it? Like kind of thing, but no, I think we've got back. I think we've gone back to like a bit how Youngie played, but obviously we're playing a bit better football. But we have gone back to that, like being strong and proper strong defence and working hard. Obviously, we're pressing that. I think you're seeing that, aren't you? Like especially the Kidderminster, the game was like I'd probably describe it as like probably have actually a proper marine performance in it, where it just been clicked and there, everyone's working hard and just like that type of performance. I think like the start of the season, Grant was obviously starting to change, wasn't it, from that like pragmatic Nick playing to obviously more open, but I think he's gone a bit, the other way, in between really, because things very hard, isn't it, to go from being, pragmatic to them start trying to think of Barcelona or Buxton, if you want to count in our league, isn't it? So I think he's changed a little bit, tactically, and yeah, it's working well, isn't he? I mean, if you would have said we would be where we are now after Radcliffe, I'd probably said you're lucky, to be honest. But you fair play to Grant, he's turned it around. And the most impressive thing about Grant, actually, I'd give him all the credit in the world, is that all the injuries he's had as well. I think it's incredible where we are considering the injuries we've had so far.
Yeah, the injuries really would have took their toll, I think, in another season. And I mean, we've brought in players as well to help cover in those areas as well. One of those players that we've just brought in now is Jolly as well. I think he's been absolutely outstanding. Start with you, Jake. What have been your thoughts on the likes of Jolly coming in and how we've dealt with those injuries?
I think it's like I say, echo what he said there, it's massive in terms of the resilience from the team, from the management. If you look at the types of players we've lost and the types of injuries we've had as well, the big players, the big injuries, they're not like, oh, he's out for a week and he'll be back next Saturday. It is, okay,
Mhm.
we have to go away, rethink how we're doing the entire setup. And like I say, fair play to Bobby Grant in terms of how he's gone about it. And I think the best thing you can say is if we look back to last season, our first season, National League North, when the first sets of signs came in, I think we were a little bit underwhelmed after a few games. Looking at Bobby Grant's signs, I can't think of too many I've been disappointed by. There's been the odd one here and there, but overall, I've been really impressed by quality he's brought in. If you look at the caliber of player, if you look at how they want to play football, and I know he goes on about a lot that work rate and that ethic that goes into it as well. It's night and day. It's leaps and leaps ahead. I think he said on your interview the other day, Much, about wanting to aim for players not just for this division but for the division above as well, and look at okay, if we do progress, that we're not completely ripping the squad again and we're not going from scratch. We are adding to it. We're adding little bits of quality, and you can see that. You can see that in the way that we're playing football, the way we're progressing it, even just down to like say about the way we change our game. We're not just playing second balls. We're looking to get on the ball, looking to dictate. We're looking to be aggressive. I don't think you get that without bringing in the players that he has. I don't think you get that from. There's only so much coaching you can do with a squad. I think players have to be there as well. Players have to have that ability, and they've definitely got that.
Excellent stuff. And how about you, Matthew?
Yeah, on the topic of Jolly, I think I've only seen him in the Kidderminster game so far, but I was impressed. Yeah, he looked bright. He looked very good on the ball as well in like the latter stages of the game where we needed someone to be like a cool head on the ball and sort of run down the clock a little bit, sort of thing. Just see the game out, which is I think at times last year what we were missing a little bit, sort of thing. With the obviously you saw it the first game of last season with Oxford when they equalised like right with the last kick of the game, and then even before Jolly came in, I think we conceded the last minute against Chester, didn't we? Where we all felt we should have taken 3 points out of that game with them being down to 10 men. But yeah, he looks bright. I saw him harrying defences, which is obviously what you like to see when Newell is tiring a little bit towards the end of the game. You need someone who's up there and can press their defenders so they don't just have like a lot of time on the ball to lump it into our box and create dangerous sort of chances. So yeah, very impressed alongside the other signings that have come in as well. Cooled down a little bit recently, hasn't it, on the signings front? But yeah, I've been really impressed by Jolly, and I'm looking forward to seeing like the sort of partnership that him and Newell can create in the future.
Just what you saying there about the signings cooling down, I think Mucky, you're probably the best one to answer this question. Is it a case that the signings have slowed down purely because the quality is coming in now for Grant to be able to have these squad of players that can play the style that he wants to play?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I think obviously he did have a lot of criticism, doesn't he? But obviously at the time, I thought there was just players there who came in. I think that's the big thing, isn't it, with the injuries, that the lads who didn't get in, like you do miss the players that are out, but they're still at the same level in terms of like what they're performing at. I think the signings of like the two centre halves, Anderson and Zarsdale, they're top quality centre halves, isn't it? So the thing is, we're staying in games, aren't we? So even with the injuries, we're still in games because them two are so good. The centre back, aren't they? And then you talk about Jolly as well. I think we're hunting Hunters out for the season, isn't it now? But he came in probably at the right time, didn't he? Considering he went out, and I think he like Hunter's a quality player, but I actually think that Jolly probably suits Grant's play even more because he's good on the ball, but he doesn't half work hard as well, doesn't he? He's a proper like he works as a team, which like in a Kidderminster, isn't it? He knows what he was doing, so I think that's a brilliant sign, isn't it, kind of thing? And yeah, you obviously as the season's gone on, isn't he? He has brought in better quality, hasn't it? So you probably expect him to bring a couple more in, isn't it? With the injuries we do have in it.
I always feel with Marine, as well as the season goes on, Marine always seems to recruit really well. I always remember, do you remember James Murray when we brought him on? No one really knew anything about him when he came in. He'd done a spectacular job, didn't he?
What a player.
Yeah, I loved him. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. And I think Marine's just like this fantastic. I don't want to call it a habit because it makes it sound like it's fortune, where it's not. It's, a lot of work goes into identifying these players and to get them in. In terms of the defence that we have then, so you're looking at Fraser Barnsley in goal, Matthew Brown on the right, Adamson and Adamanson, sorry, and Drysdale as your two centre halves, and then Odin, Stender Smith, who's been absolutely phenomenal for me there. Is this the best back line that we've seen? And bear in mind, I've got to say as well, Josh Wardle, who is an absolutely sensational centre half, sometimes finds himself here as third choice. Where does this stand in terms of the defences that we've seen in the time we've been following Marine?
Yeah, I think it is right up there. And as you said, with Wardle finding himself sometimes on the bench, I mean, I think the versatility of the likes of Anson is going to be crucial as well, with Brown picking up maybe a recurring injury. I'm not too sure on the severity of that one, but the fact that he's able to cover both of the full-back sort of positions. I mean, he played left-back, didn't he, against Macclesfield, and come up with the assist for the winning goal. So I think, not even just the quality that they do have, which is just absolutely immense. It's the versatility as well of the likes of Anson, which is going to be really crucial for us. And, there's still obviously a massive part for Josh to play in the team, because the injuries that we're picking up, as we keep mentioning, it needs a full unit, a strong squad with players that are able to come in and do the job. If players getting pushed out to full back or even getting injured, but let's just hope that there's no more injuries and we have a settled back four, because as of right now, I honestly think we've got one of the best back fours in the National North. I don't think you'll see a much better one at any side in our division. I really don't.
No, I agree with you. How about you, Jake? Where does it stand with you?
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 points there for me. I think the goalkeeping situation, I think we were all crying out for anything to be resolved the closer we got to the season. And I think Fraser Barnsley's right up there for keepers I've seen from Marine, I think, in terms of shot stopping, in terms of adding that level of composure, I think a defence needs as well, adding that calmness and that consistency. But then just, even in terms of the centre backs we brought in there with Anson and Drysdale, there's two sides of the defenders. They can both get stuck in, they can throw a head in. We look at how they start and build up play as well. And it's a massive gear. It's a massive, massive gear change from what I've seen in the past. It's the comfort levels on the ball and bringing it out and starting attacks and asking more questions of the opposition. So it leaves other teams with questions to answer as well. It's a different dimension again. It's nice to have that string to your bow essentially.
How about you, Mark?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that I had touched on like Wardle. I think the big thing about him, and I think says a lot about him as the captain, was like I think it was the I can't remember what game it was actually. It was game before, and I think someone mentioned about when he's going to be available, and he was like, "Oh, I'm available now, but I don't really deserve to be in the team because them two are playing so well." Which I think says a lot about him, kind of thing. As captain, and most players be sitting there going, "I'm the captain, I should be playing," kind of thing. So that really like just shows his like character really, and shows like how well them two are playing. But then there's also players like on the bench, you have not let us down. If you like Adam Thomas coming on against Kidderminster when we got the injury, never let us down. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to be in the first 11, but when they're being put in recently, they've not let us down whatsoever. So you got, and then you think like players like Sam Fielden who's come in, he wasn't ever started. Yeah, and the last 4 weeks he's been absolutely brilliant. No one's really mentioned him, but the job he's doing in midfield is absolutely brilliant considering the injuries we've got. And the biggest compliment you can say to him is that we haven't even missed Matthew McDonald, which if we said that after he got injured, everyone would be going, "No, we're going to struggle." Yeah, so you've got to say fair play to the lads who've come in and done a job, who are not automatic starters, basically.
Honestly, on the topic of Fielding, just I don't feel I have done him enough credit as well on the podcast that I've been on. He's a player that goes under the radar, doesn't he, a little bit at times, because he's just a consistent 7 or 8 out of 10 performer in the midfield. He doesn't let you down. And he's also got a hell of a strike on him as well, which is something that you don't usually get from that sort of player. So he's invaluable to Marine, really. Him and Whelan as well both do the same sort of job in the team, don't they? And they've both got excellent quality on the ball as well, and they're both great at breaking up the game. So yeah, just needs a bit more credit, some of those sort of players, because I often feel like they don't really get the praise that they deserve at times. Thought Fielding was brilliant against Kidderminster.
Gotcha.
I always remember with Fielding. I remember particularly in pre-season, at Ashton United, and I do remember Bobby saying, "You want to see Fielding when he gets into his stride with those legs. The way he gets across the pitch is unbelievable." And I think you're seeing that now. But I've just been having a quick look here because I got a little bit excited there seeing what Marine's last 5 results have been, and what our form guide is going in against Spennymoor. And it actually gets even better reading when you go all the way back to the 4th of October, which was Marine 1, Macclesfield 0 away. And then there's only 2 defeats then in 11. 2 defeats in 11 was absolutely sensational. That was the 4-0 loss to Cares and Ashton. Then after that, it's 2-1 win away at Worksop, 2-1 win away at Scarborough. Another defeat, which was a 1-0 filed at home. But then there's a 1-1 draw with Chester, the 1-0 win away at Leamington, the 2-1 home win against Telford, the 2-0 win against Stocksbridge, and then a 0-0 with Oxford, and then 2-0 against Kidminster. So looking at the form guide as well, in the last 5, it's Marine 4 wins and a draw. And then we're going in against Spennymoor, the National League North fixture, who are 1 win, 4 defeats. How exciting in terms of right now to be a Marine supporter, given where we've been to where we are. Does that sort of read a mid for you if I go to you first, Jake?
Yeah, like I said, I keep bringing it back to last season. I remember it wasn't so much even negativity on the terraces, like the start of last season. It was just a case of here we go again. We know we're in for a tough ride. We know we're trying to scrape and survive and battle for every point. And I think that mindset feels a bit different now. It feels a bit more established. It feels a bit more like we belong at this level and we're going. All right, we fancy ourselves against these. It's nice. It's nice to have a team where you can go. We're going to go at these today. We're going to go attack these. We're going to try and win by. If we can't win by 1 or 2, we'll try and win by 3, and we'll just keep pushing and pushing. And then equally that game management's there as well. You look at the amount of tight scorelines there. You don't get them just by being gung ho all the time and pressing and pressing and pressing. I think our game management's improved massively. If you look across it, and it's nice seeing that positivity in the crowd. It's nice seeing people thinking we can go into any game against anyone in this division thinking, why not? Why can't we win? I remember when Filed came, and honestly, I didn't think they were that much better than us. They deserved the win on the day. But when you look at part time to full time and all the riches they've got, and you think we're more than competing with teams like that in this league, it's just a joy to go watching at the minute.
It really is. It is exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, how about you, Matthew, when you got walking up College Road?
Yeah, it's just brilliant, isn't it? I think I must have been stood on a different terrace to Jake at the start of last season because I think I was probably overly negative about our start last season.
I was stood next to you for a lot of it. I was trying to be very kind.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was last season was just the goal scoring issues, which, it wasn't exciting to go and watch Marine because we didn't really score often. And we just lose the odd game 1-0 because of our inability to convert the chances we were creating. But now this season, with the likes of Newell coming back and just the quality we've got up the top end of the pitch, Finn's really settled into this league now, hasn't he? Which probably took him, let's say, the best part of last season to really do until we had that good stretch of form towards the end of the season. But yeah, the likes of Newell have just been, it looks like he's been playing at this level for years. Even though the last time he was with us, it was in the Northern Prem West or the NPL, I can't remember. But it was a lesser standard than what we're playing now. And yeah, just going to watch Marine is just absolutely brilliant at the moment. And the whole atmosphere around the club with like the music in the bar afterwards, and it's just a really enjoyable day out at Marine, that's what it is for some people. But yeah, really loving watching us at the moment. Obviously, the results are helping with that, but I just think the overall style of play has just been absolutely fantastic with the constant pressing of defenders and forcing mistakes such as Newell's goal against Kidderminster. Just really impressed by what I'm seeing by Marine, and it's really probably the best days to have been watching Marine in a long time, I think.
Well, you recently surmised as well about the similarities between Marine and Radcliffe, and that's reflected in the table at the moment. With both teams having played 19 and both on 30 points. Obviously, we remember how much of a flying start Radcliffe got into at the start of last season, whereas Marine was a bit of a struggle. Are you finding Marine sort of again at that level now of Radcliffe in similar playing style? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we're in a different space, isn't it? I know people say about the how we played last season with our members that we obviously lost soul, didn't we? And these players that, like obviously when we were there last season, the players that we got this season wouldn't have come last season because just generally because we've just got promoted. So I think we're in a different space. I think, the man, obviously Neil Young, I think obviously the first 6 months was tough, but I thought back end of the season we probably won the 4 teams, weren't we? We glanced over, and I said this in the podcast, which he agreed with. He came into a good squad there, players who have got experience, and that's followed in this season. Now the other thing, Grant's been able to bring in players with better quality, haven't they? So you've seen that showing now, and yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure if we'll get the playoffs to be honest, but I think we're in around that top 10 now. Do you know what I mean? And you've had a stage where if you can bring a few more quality players in, there's no probably reason why you can't get in the top 7, isn't it? Because you played most of the teams, and there's no one there really. You sit there, do you? Apart from like the Files and South Shields, is there? The rest of it, there's not too much between them, is there? Do you know what I mean? So they're in a great space at the moment, isn't it? And long may continue. And I think the thing is that they're also playing the way Grant, but he's got the players now that, you know, even with the injuries, they're playing the way he wants to play, isn't it? Whereas if I felt around Radcliffe, the players that got injured, the lads that are coming in, weren't at the same level as the lads who were going. So that's the big, really.
Yeah, just on that, I think it was
Sorry.
criminal that we didn't get at least a point out of both Shields and Filed, to be honest. I think that was literally robbery in those games. But we were the masters of our own downfall, to be honest, in the Shields game. We didn't take our chances. We had really gilt-edge opportunities in that first half. And I think it was unlucky that we played them on the opening day, to be honest, because there was a couple of new lads playing that weren't fully integrated, didn't have the relationships on the pitch. And I think honestly, if we were to play them tomorrow, we'd definitely get a point out of them at least, because we'd more than deserved to on the opening day. And also with Filed, I think they were a team who liked to get the ball down and tried to play us off the park, which fair enough. They came and they got the 3 points, but in that second half, we definitely should have got an equaliser, even right at the end. Hunter's chance. Don't know how that didn't go in. And yeah, but as you were saying, Mucky, there's not a great deal between us and the likes of Filed and Shields at all. And they're the two teams who are fancied for promotion in the league. So I really think Marine should be in that conversation, like playoffs.
You could expand on that, Matty, as well, because Mayfair are up there, on 40 points. Your top 3, Marine have been just as good, if not better, in periods.
Absolutely, yeah.
Beat third place Mayfair.
Yeah. It's a brilliant result. As I said the other week, that result gets better and better as the weeks go on. That 3-1 away from home against them.
Even just not having a rescore against you. That's one. We must be one of the few teams that's happened against.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's just fantastic to see. I mean, I don't know about you. I mean, obviously, it's always good when a match gets called off, especially those who were travelling down to Hereford on the weekends, and then I think they were all stuck at the carpet factory, or the carpet museum, sorry, to pass the time. But I mean, I don't know about you guys. I mean, I was looking at live scores and watching the table, and it's kind of fun to be able to sit there and watching your league position change and where you're going up the table without ever kicking a ball as well, just because of where Marine are in terms of the points gained. And I just want to touch on Mucky's podcast as well, because it's been referenced already. I mean, it was such a good podcast that you've done, Mucky, with Bobby. I know we joked off camera about, he does owe you a pint here. How well you got him coming across. Because you say, we got messages, didn't we, from people who really got to see Bobby sort of in another light, and certainly he opened up to you. What were your thoughts on him? The takeaway, particularly because there was.
I mean, I'm not like a professional podcaster kind of thing. So I get nervous even like before podcast because I'm not like outgoing person. Do you know what I mean, kind of thing. But I think all the credit goes to him to be fair as well because I think I writ like 12, 13 questions and you could get through them pretty quickly. If someone's not like engaged in it kind of thing. So he was brilliant. He made me feel really comfortable in it. I think the big thing for me when I do them is like I want to bring something different. If I want it to be like as if I'm going to the pub with someone and just having a chat about football, and that's why I do it. To like try and get them to open up and show something different than what you see in anything else kind of thing, which I think he really did. And we've had like a lot of comments and all that. And as I said, I don't really do it for like the praise or not. And for me, it's all about like if people enjoyed the kind of thing, which I bet been a lot of people have like. But I think the other thing, as you said just there, is like a lot of people who probably were not sure on Bobby or 50-50. A lot of people I think have said like, that podcast kind of totally changed their mind on their opinion on him. And I think, basically that's made a big success, isn't it? Because they've seen a different side to Bobby, and they probably would have done if you hadn't watched it. I mean, I could have done one for 3 hours. He was that good. It just flew by, and when you've done an hour and you feel like you could have done more, really, but obviously you would want to do more. But that just shows, I think, like how good he was for me. So as I said, I really enjoyed it, but I'll give him a lot of credit for making it very easy as well.
What was your takeaway from Mucky's podcast with Bobby?
Yeah, for a start, Muck, I really enjoyed it. It was a really good listen. It was really interesting. I think it sounds weird to say, but it sort of humanises the person behind it. So I think if you ask any manager on a game day, they're completely different people to who they are away from the pitch. And it's nice to see that different side of someone, and just you could see the passion in the answers, you could see the engagement, you could see the want to connect and the want to bring people along with him. Like I remember him speaking when he first got appointed, wanting about the importance of the fans and things like that. And you can see from his answers just how much he wants to bring the fans along and how much that'll help, how important that is to everything, and how important it is to making Marine a success. And like I say, even just in terms of when he's joking and when he's having a laugh and relaxing a little bit, I think fair play to him for getting into that state and getting into that place where he can open up and feel comfortable. It's only going to be a positive, and it's only going to help more people see him in a positive light. It's only going to help Marine's profile as well. At the end of the day, when there is good content like that out there for the club.
Matthew, I wanted to ask you, as a Crosby lad yourself, there was a great line that Bobby said about Youngie asked him, "Are you sure you want to take the job because you live in the area?" And that was one of the reasons why Bobby wanted to take it. So for you, as a Crosby lad, in the area, I mean, what does that say to you?
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's someone that really loves the club, and more importantly, sort of like the wider community. As you said, as he often says, that the club and even Crosby in general really welcomed him in when he moved to the area and became a Marine player firstly, and then obviously the manager. It's just exactly what you want to hear as a fan, isn't it? It's somebody that you want to like get behind and go to war with, because it's sometimes football's more than just a game on the pitch, isn't it? It's one town or one city against another, and as to have the manager as somebody who really embodies that and is one of us himself, that's really exactly what you want, because a lot of the time there's a bit of a disconnect between sort of the manager and they're not immersed in like the area, and they don't know exactly what's going on around them, but it feels like he's really rooted in Crosby, and he knows what it means to be at Marine and manage them. And I think Youngie's probably really helped him with that, and sort of guided him and said, sort of if you want the job, it's yours, but you obviously need to know the risks. And for him to turn around and say no, like put his foot down, this is what I want. That's just exactly what you want as a fan and somebody from Crosby in general.
I also want to just
I thought it was great as well. How well he spoke about Youngie as well and the support he's getting there from Youngie.
Yeah, I also want to add as well about because obviously when we did the podcast as well, the big credit I give Grant as well is that we obviously arranged it a couple of days before. Not once did he say don't ask this or don't ask that. I think some managers would have, and obviously when we touched on the thing, obviously with Earl leaving and that, we could have just not done that really. And I thought his answer with that was brilliant because then I think that gives fans a bit effective on his field, you know what I mean? And I think that's why he would have really liked that. So I think, again, he deserves massive credit for that because I think some managers would have been like, no, I don't really want to be answering that kind of thing, you know what I mean? So I think big credit for him to doing that as well.
I want to touch on credits while we're giving credits out as well to Jack Barton, who is in charge of the bistro and the sort of match play stuff that's going on there with the food and drink behind the bar. Bringing in like the live bands and trying to get things going. How have you found like the changes that have been brought into the bistro for the pre and post match atmospheres?
Go on, Jake.
Yeah, like I say, I think stuff like that can only help. I think positive results will bring that as well. So if you look at the likes of, if you look at Buxton, I think the pints that were sold that day went through the roof after Finn's last minute winner. Stuff like that ultimately drives people to stay more than a band, I think. But having that on, having that entertainment, making it a night out, making it you can stay here for your evening, and it's all in one place because there are good places to go in Crosby. There's a lot happening in Crosby, and there's good offerings. There's places. It is all good, but it's nice even the stuff like the poker nights and the quiz nights and stuff like that, and getting stuff in midweek and letting Matty show everyone how good he is at poker for a little bit. And I never knew he was as good at bluffing as he is because he can never normally hold it in at the game. But it's all none of it's a negative unless, as me and Matty know, unless you speak to someone called Dave Hughes. There's a couple of negatives, but like I say, it's nice to see the club having that impetus and having that engagement and being positive, being proactive, starting stuff off and trying to get more. Get more fans staying, get more revenue for the club. It's not going to hurt at the end of the day.
So we just took a little break there. Welcome back to the podcast. So we've seen there's been a new kit released this week in the Marine Club shop, pink one. What are our thoughts on the pink kit?
It's not something that I traditionally go for, to be honest, pink, but don't know. I'm open to trying anything once. So I don't know. Maybe I'll wake up on the 25th of December to a full pink marine kit under the tree.
I think the kits have been such a hit this year. And I'm supporting the away one, which has just had phenomenal success. Having a look at some of the kits that have just been recently brought out, and particularly the training gear as well, where they've gone for black and gold. What's been the thoughts on the Maluka kits so far then this season? Are they bringing us great success on and off the pitch?
Yeah, I mean, like say,
Go on, yeah. No, I think they're being higher quality, aren't they? I think obviously we can the pink one. It's great for like obviously women and young girls, and they're going to watch me. Something you probably wouldn't have seen a lot of when we were going back around 2016, 17, isn't it? So the amount of youngsters you see go and watch Marine now is amazing, really, isn't it? Because it's something you wouldn't have seen, like I said, about 10 years ago. But yeah, it's more for the I said for women and young girls who would probably more like a pink kit. Won't be. It's something you'd probably imagine more for them, isn't it? But it's great to see so many going. And obviously the kids are good, aren't they? I like the green ones. Yeah, it's very nice, isn't it? So the big improvements and lot like I remember that like when I was going. I used to start later to games, and she got one like a kit and that, and like just it was all right, but what it is now is totally different, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
That's it. I think it's been great, as you say. The time that we started and we went roughly around the same time. It was difficult. To try and get the quality in your weeks on the order. Um, to put anything in. How about you, Jake? Anyway, what have you been your thoughts so far on the kits and the training gear?
Yeah, like I say, so I used to run a football shirt business and stuff like that as well, so I know pink kits do sell pretty well. I mean, there's a lot of quite iconic pink kits. I think you Palermo, Juventus, Serie A kits back in the day really went for a lot of pink looks. I'm not quite sure it's so common in England and stuff like that. But even if you look at the likes of the away kit you've got on yourself, and like the way they brought the fans on board, like the voting process, and it makes you feel more engaged. And I think a lot of people who are starting to head towards non-league and looking for that club where they feel a bit more connected, you get that with Marine, you get that side of it now. You get the the input, and you sort of get your voices heard a bit more than you would at other clubs. I think bigger clubs, like I know all of us here put Everton and Liverpool as well, but if you look at how much your voice means here versus how much it means there, it's night and day. It's miles apart. Like I say, I've never seen as many Marine kits since I've been going as I have this season. Walking up the ground, you see kids everywhere in Marine kits around Crosby, which is dead nice to see. You see loads of people on the terraces wearing the kit, and it can only be a good thing. It's good for getting the word out there, getting the name out there for Marine in terms of there's people who might just go, oh, what shirt you wearing there? I just get that out a little bit more. It's just that a little bit more brand awareness and stuff like that. And it's all positives. It's all good stuff for the club. I mean, I'll be honest, I would be buying the pink kit, but we can't win them all.
Yeah, just one other thing to touch on regarding the kits. Obviously, Maluka is also a Crosby-based business, which is another really positive thing. As you said before, when we touched about Grant being involved in the community, Maluka is also very involved in the community, and that's represented or reflected, sorry, through the kits with some of the odes to Crosby Beach and various other parts of Crosby's landscape or history, which is just a little touch, which is brilliant to see on the kits as well.
It's great. I've seen so many Marine shirts out and about. I've seen them around like Aintree Retail Park, around town. It's just as you say, you're seeing them on non-match days as well, which is something that in my time I've never seen this before. There really is a great local engagement with people. And speaking with that engagement that the club is having at the moment, we're not the only club that has struggled to sell coaches to get away fans to games. And we're seeing much bigger clubs are also having their own difficulties trying to get fans to get on board with away travel. Where can Marine improve upon this to try and get people on board the coaches? We're seeing people travel by train, and that's not an issue because the trains are always going to run it. It's not dependent on sales of seats. But what can Marine do to try and get people onto the coaches?
No, I honestly I think this is something that we've kind of toiled with over the last, well, probably 18 months or so now. I think last season, with it being our first season in the National North, the coaches, one of the early ones, wasn't it? It was Scunthorpe. And I mean, that was always going to be one that a lot of people wanted to do. Obviously, we were only in the league with them for one season. So, a lot of people were thinking probably won't get a chance to go and see that ground again. Or, even selling a coach to Kidderminster on the Tuesday night. You doubt that we'll do that again this season. But no, I honestly don't have any real ideas for what we can do. I mean, we've tried pretty much everything, haven't we? Including flyers around the club, with QR codes on it, spreading the word via the PA announcements at games. But I just think unless we manage to somehow improve our away following probably by double, then the coaches are just not really going to be a starter, to be honest. And most people are looking towards the train, as you say, because you're guaranteed to go. And even though it's a bit more expensive than some of the trips on the coach, then some people would rather pay the train fare there and then and know that they're definitely going to be going to the game rather than wait until a couple of days before the game and then the coach gets pulled for lack of numbers and then the train's increased in price a lot. So I think that's just the option that a lot of people are going for now, and that's probably perfectly all right.
About you, Drake, any ideas?
Like I said, I think there's been a lot of tried and tested. Like there's been a lot of different methods tried. I think it is a case of having to be realistic and think. You look at the size of the home attendance we get, and in terms of relating that into away fans and turning that into away fans, the types of fan that we get in terms of like the families that come on a home match day are probably less likely to go on away day, especially ones which are like an all day with like a King's Lynn is.
Or European ultras.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't got a big firm of like pyro waving, drum banging ultras. We have got a really, for this level, a really solid level of away fans. I think when they come to our ground, there's not many you go, wow, that's an eye opening amount, and they're gonna swarm us. It's a case of knowing the level, and if the coaches don't run, there are ways of getting there. It's a shame because the coaches are a good laugh. I've had some great times on the coaches down the years with the lads, and it's a shame that they're sort of fizzling out a bit more than anything.
Question for you though: is it the expense of it? Because following the National League North has not been cheap. Just getting into the ground, we saw this with Chester. £22 for getting into Chester.
Yeah, 100%. And you look at the price of everything's going up. Everyone's trying to balance budgets. Everyone's got ends to meet, and it's just if your decision is do I go on a coach to Marine or do I put it to a range day, do I put on a bill? It's never going to be on a Marine coach for an away day at the end of the day.
Mm. That's it. And you've got like we touching on there, Matty, when we were saying about the trains. For the likes of myself, I've got Aintree station. It's easier for me to get to Ormskirk and then get a train from Ormskirk and go wherever from there. Then with the trains that run up to Preston. Sometimes it's quicker doing that than it is actually just getting into Crosby.
Yeah,
that's it. But, we'd be remiss as well doing a podcast or looking over in November without touching on the loss of Rolly Howard, who is Marine. If anyone ever, he's up there with Dave Waterspoon for me. It's just if you're talking about Marine, you're talking about them. Obviously, we're all too young for Rolly. I never got to watch a Rolly Howard game, and I don't think anyone here did either. But in terms of when you think of Rolly Howard and you hear his name, what are your thoughts? What comes to mind for you, Mucky?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I didn't, see any games under him, but I think, football, don't you? And like when someone talk about someone's been at their club for 33 years, I think that's testament to the job he must have done. How he is perceived by the football club, because I know it was different times, but to be a football club that long, it's tough, isn't it, kind of thing. So I think that's the biggest thing. And I think also the thing is as well, when you see what Youngie's achieved, isn't it? And that's I think in many people's minds, obviously people who've been going longer than I have, and we're in that era, isn't it? That the fact that they probably perceive him to be like higher up in the echelons of Marine managers than probably Neil Young. I think that shows you what he represents, doesn't it? Because we all sit there and say what a job Young did, in it, for this club, in it. So for him to be higher than him, shows. But I think that's just you look at what he achieved, and he won league titles, didn't he, and trophies, and people speak so fondly of him. And I think the other thing, isn't it? I think what really represents a manager, and we do it with Neil Young, isn't it? Is when they leave, is how you talked of afterwards, isn't it? And I don't think you ever get anyone ever say anything negative about him, ever. So that shows you what kind of job he did at the football club.
Yeah, I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with the sentiment there. And as you touched on as well, Dave Waterspoon. I mean, I think those two really are, the fabric of what's made Marine into what it is today, as recognised by the fact that they're both on a flag. I know it's not much, but for what we as fans can do, it's probably the best we can do to honour their legacy. Take them around the country with us and sing about Rowley and also Dave. Two absolutely just, sort of in Marine terms, just absolute legends, really, weren't they? Legends of the club. I mean, that doesn't even go far enough, does it, to describe a manager who managed the club for 33 years. I mean, in that 33 years, Rowley would have been, he was the one constant, wasn't he, with the players coming and going, ownership coming and going, but Rowley was always there. And he was what everyone in Merseyside, locally or even further afield, associated when they heard the word Marine, and I'm sure many still do to this day.
Aye. If anyone's interested who's watching this as well, Marine have put out a statement today as well, just outlining the details. But briefly, Rowley's funeral will be at 12 p.m. on Monday, the 15th of December at West Lancashire Cemetery and Crematorium on Pippin Street, Ormskirk. Postcode is L47 S for Sierra, P for Papa. And then returning to the Fleetwood Hesketh Sports and Social Club on Files Road, Southport, PR9 X-Ray Hotel. And the family has requested that everyone wear black and white for Rowley's Black and White Army, which I think is a beautiful touch. Did anyone watch Jay Leary's interview with Off the Park recently?
Yeah, watched it.
I thought it was fascinating, especially when he was talking about how Marine are having to compete with other clubs on finances and how forthcoming Chester were to help Marine understanding their booster budget model and how it worked. But was there any takeaways from yourself, Matthew, when you've watched that you thought quite fascinating to understand?
Yeah, just everything you mentioned there, really, like how the booster budget scheme can work and how we can hopefully look to build on that in the next couple of years so we can raise more funds for the club, because seeing how vital it can be, really, I think what we have raised this season's already being put to very good use. And I was also intrigued and excited by how Jay spoke about the new ground and how positive he was about it, because at times I think a couple of people have been questioning it or thought it was a little bit pie in the sky, but no, he seems firmly behind it, and the rest of the committee do, which is really refreshing to hear as fans. It's exactly what you want to hear, that they're progressing the club, they've got ambition, because a lot of the owners these days are just, you're not sure exactly what you're getting from them, but they're very transparent, very, forward thinking, and they really, they come across as if they really do want to progress this club forward and take us into that new ground, which is what every fan wants to hear. So we can, look to go even further up the pyramid than we are now.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the ground, and a lot of people love Rossett Park because it is so unique with the three sides. And, I'm sure the Eindhoven fans that were there recently for the Kidminster game, they were loving it with how unique it is. And I watched the video recently, the lad who does the Away Days YouTube channel, and he was at Workington, because they've got their last couple of games now before Borough Park. I think it's a partial demolition and then rebuilt on three sides. I think that's taking place. But obviously, we've got great memories of Workington. That famous Tuesday night with Kenji's hat-trick. With the new stadium, you were touching there, Matty, about how the club needs to progress into the future, which is one of the things Jay's touched on. But when you look at Crosby as a worry and all the housing that's going up, is it really a case though for Marina, if they don't move now, that window of opportunity disappears?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case, isn't it? I think that's kind of why that it was brought to our attention as soon as it was. I don't know if they were really expecting to have announced it that early, or they were planning on waiting a little bit longer. But Rossett Park, the MTA, it's obviously wonderful memories for all of us for our own individual reasons. But for me, I've always been someone who errs on the side of that. I want to see Marine perform at the highest level that the club can possibly be, whatever that is, and whatever that requires, whether that be a new ground or investment from elsewhere. I don't mind, as long as it's with the right intentions and with the intentions of Marine being the best that it can be as a club and as an institution, really, which is just what I want to see. So when some people are saying that, that it's going to lose the magic of Rossett Park, and I was like, well, that's just something that you've got to get on board with. I mean, if you're somebody who's not really that interested in seeing Marine progressing up the pyramid and just kind of staying where we are, then unfortunately, me and you disagree on that massively.
Yeah, I think the other side I worry about is eventually ground regulations are going to come in, and where the runoff of the pitch. We remember it was it 2-3 years ago when the game was nearly called off 10 minutes before kickoff because of the dugouts, and they weren't happy with that. I mean, Jake, for you, where do you stand on the whole movement to a new ground, the benefits to it versus the negatives of leaving the NCA?
Yeah, I mean, I think on the start, I mean, that runoff side of things, I mean, you have to look at that really tragic case of the lad who died earlier this year and the football to see
Absolutely.
just how serious it is. And I know it's not quite the same as just having a concrete wall on the pitch, but it is a very, very short runoff at the NCA. And I think, echoing Matthew's point, I think everyone here and most people at Marine just want to see Marine be the best they can be. And I completely understand the ties to the local ground. I mean, I've had it with Everton as well recently, with moving from Goodison to Bramley-Moore, and it is a big change, and it is like everyone I know who goes to Bramley-Moore all said the exact same thing. We're struggling to find a routine, and we had a routine when we went and we knew what we liked. And you will get them teething issues with moving to new grounds, but I think if the option is stay where we are and have to go down based on the regulations, or try and push, try and be ambitious, and even if the ambition doesn't work off, we've got a great ground, we've got a great little setup. We're still in the local area, we're still doing positive things. You look at all the positive work that Marine and the community do, and you look at if we can develop that side of it, we can develop the revenue side of it, all the positive things that the club can do for not just Croydon but the wider area. Like if we move to by the Sieve, then that is good stuff that we can do. There's a lot of it opens up the catchment area. It means that we've got a wider fan base that we can target. Even just in terms of there's more local people who've got football, cheap affordable football on their doorstep. It's a no-brainer for me. I think you've got to go for that move. It feels a bit cliche saying a once in a lifetime opportunity, but you look at the opportunity to us. It's massive. What other team in our league is getting that opportunity?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I've just seen the Leamington are talking about getting a new ground, aren't they? Peterborough Sports are talking about going full time. And so for Marine, who want to sort of look at going to a hybrid model as well in the stadium, you're just touching there as well on catchment area. Sort of because Marine's so deeply rooted in Crosby, by moving to the edge of Thornton, you're looking at more of a catchment area now with the likes of Neverton, McGull, and all of
Yeah,
that.
exactly. I mean, like I say, you've got the local team in McGull already. You've got quite a thriving area for that. I know that is picking up quite a few. I mean, I know quite a few people who live in McGull and they love going down there, and that's probably for them. But you look at the likes of Neverton's a big football place. There's not that much that local to it. I mean,
Yeah.
other than the likes of your Liverpool Remicas and stuff like that, it means that we've got good quality, affordable football on people's doorstep that you can go, right, are you come and try it out, come and enjoy it, come and watch some football with us. And I think a lot of people, or more people than expect, will try it, and we'll get on board, and we'll start swelling the fan base.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I just want to ask you as well, and on this question when it relates to moving to the ground as well. Dave Mack and Jay have both said the same thing. About this is not about Marine for now. This is about Marine for 100 years' time in the future. With that change coming in with the stadium, the new revenue, and the as Jake's just alluded to there with the catchment series, etc. is the glass ceiling that Marines had in the past the reason why so many people started tailing off towards when Rowley left and, that lull of like 2005 for about 15 years where sort of Marine just sort of became this afterthought as a bit of a glamorous Sunday League side?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, first before touch on that first thing, I just want to say, I think should be mentioned. Obviously, there's good 10, 15 people went out who were going to Hereford, who paid money to go, and fair play to them because like it was fair to like 40 quid that you won't get back now. But I think they definitely deserve a mention for that because it's a lot of money and fair play to them for that. Obviously, the game was called off. On terms of the ground, I think it's just got to happen, hasn't it? That's the route. It's you either don't if you don't do it, then you could, as you said, could get relegated. It's also like revenue stuff, like even if we don't, fill it, it doesn't really matter because the reality is, if you get a big club in your league, whether that be Chester, whether it be, if you go in the league above, like a Rochdale, or, for Oldham in there, you're talking like 1,000 fans, aren't you, that you can give them, and that's revenue for the football club, isn't it? And then you can build the supporters, do you know what I mean? Whether that's 1,500 and there's still 2,000 seats to fill. You can build that support over time, isn't it? It's not going to happen straight away, but the club has to, the club has to move. Now it's obviously sad because I've been going there 10 years. I know people have probably been going a lot longer, isn't it? But if the club wants to progress, they just have to move, and there's no other like, as Matthew said, if you don't want any ambition, then yeah, don't move. But they will, there's no guarantee they'll stay there, isn't it? But if you want to progress and play at the highest level, you do have to move, isn't it? And there's also stuff like being at this level, isn't it? When they talk about hospitality and stuff like that, it's it just opens a brand new window to the football club, doesn't it? So, and when you see the budgets in this league, isn't it? If we want to stay at this level and obviously progress, isn't it? And we just have, has to be the ambition, isn't it, kind of thing. I'm sure it will be sad when we leave, I'll be actually a bit sad not going there, but at the end of the day, if you want this football to progress and, keep progressing, then you got to move, and that's just the whole top bottom of it, really.
Well, that's it. I mean, every time I go past Edge Lane, I'm always looking across at the field, the excitement, knowing that, hang on, where that bird sat in the middle of that field, that's the centre circle. They're getting that excitement. But the similarities, though, with people talking about, well, where it's going to influence, and there's not a lot around there, but there's not a lot around there yet. You're seeing this explosion of housing going on in Thornton, which means that there's going to have to be more infrastructure inevitably put in place, which, as Jake was alluding to before with the catchment areas, but I think there's a lot of similarities where Marine are going to move to an area where there's not a lot of things like bars and restaurants, etc. there now, having leaving College Road where there is similarities with Everton, moving from obviously having County Road right there to now with Bramley Moor. But I say things are building up now, obviously on a much bigger scale between the two clubs. But for you, as you said before as well about one of the things people are struggling with routine, but are you finding as well that routine is coming with time?
Yeah, I think it's people wanting to give equal opportunity to different options that they've got. I think people have habits. People like to stick to the habits, and when that's changed, you sort of got to find what suits you best. Like say, I was down in the Invisible Women Factory on Saturday night before the Everton game, and it was booming. It was like say, if you'd have said on a random Saturday night that wasn't an event in there, you wouldn't have many. It probably wouldn't be open the same way it is. There was 5 or 6 different bruises just on the route I was walking that were absolutely heaving with fans. And like I say, I don't think prior to Bramley I don't think the Dock Road was many people's prime location for a night out in town. I don't think many people were clamouring to head down towards the docks and the UNESCO World Heritage Site. I think it was more a case of we might start them when we move further in, but now it's become a location, and I think that's a good model for how Marine can do it as well. It is a case of it's that old saying: if you build it, they'll come. If you build it, the bars and things, people will know they can make money out of stuff like that, and people will start to invest and bring that sort of infrastructure and that sort of hospitality around the club as well. I think it's naive to think that we're just going to plonk a stadium in the middle of nowhere and it's going to be like one of those ones that's in a retail park, or if you look at like Bolton, if you've ever been to Bolton, where it's literally it's in a car park with a Frankie and Benny's by it or something like that, or Oxford United is the same with three sides and a Frankie and Benny's. Yeah, and I think it's very different to that sort of attitude. I think we're going to be within house and we're going to be walking distance with people. I think there will be amenities. I think there's already existing ones, even if they're a little bit of a walkway, a little bit of a stretch. But I think more is inevitable at that point.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, as you say, you build the welcome. You've seen what's happening now with Peel Holdings as well, who are building up on the wastelands or up on around Bramley Moor, and Elway certainly have big ambitions for the areas, those fields there on Edge Lane. Well, I mean, if it's built, and as you say, Bill, you get into that National League. Then you were touching before about the crowds. You see some of the size of the crowds there, especially the away followings in the National League. I mean, they rival a lot of like first and second division clubs across Europe, don't they? Outside of the top flights. I mean, if Marine were to get into the National League, I mean, what were your thoughts on that, Matty, about following Marine up and down the country in the National League?
Well, I'd be absolutely over the moon with that, to be honest. As someone who, I love travelling away to watch Marine, do it as many times as I can a season. So the longer trips are better for me. I love all that. As you know, I'm 21 myself, so I feel like I'm in like the sort of prime age to be going up and down, following like my team around the country at this point, and with Liverpool, I haven't necessarily had the opportunity to do that. So if Marine were to ever get to the National League or even further, then I'd absolutely love that, to be honest, and love all the early starts, late finishes, seeing random parts of the country that you'd never go to. And that's what it's all about for me, going and enjoying the game, but also going to these random places. And I think that's part of the essence of non-league as well, isn't it? Sort of like you just kind of expand your view of like England, and I'd love to go down like the south coast to Southend or Truro or somewhere like that, watching Marine, because obviously I was a bit too late for Dover. But yeah, I'd absolutely love that. What about you?
Mark? I think Mucky's given up.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I'm going a bit off to the side of it, and I'm a bit off track. But I mean, if you pull off this new ground, and I don't think you mentioned, well, I think the board deserve an unbelievable credit. I mean, obviously when we were going, I just felt we were just going into the abyss, and it was just like a standstill football club, and just felt it was inevitable it was going to go down. But I mean, if they pull this off with the new ground, isn't it? I think what they've achieved, obviously we talk about Youngie and what he did, but I think the board deserve absolutely massive credit for what they've done in that game, because, it would have been easy to throw money around and, try and do this and that. And we've seen plenty of teams have FA Cup runs and not have the general success this club has had. It's kept the fan base around from like 1100 as well for the past 3 or 4 years, which is very difficult to do as well. So I think, as I said, I know I'm going a bit off track, but I think the board deserves massive credit for, how they've, improved everything at the club, and, they've good budget and all them kind of things. And then to be able to get a football stadium, I mean, FC United's ground costs 6 million, I believe. So it's not not an easy thing to do whatsoever. So yeah, it'd be unbelievable if we could have that new stadium kind of thing. And then obviously I love to go into different places. I've been doing it with for 10 years, where those going to like Barwell, or now I'm going to the Kidderminster and Hereford. And I've been to places where there's like 50 fans. You know what I mean? So I've been doing it like before we even got to this stage. You know what I mean? So I love it. If we could go into National League and be going to, like London or, as Matt says, and them type of places. It'd be brilliant kind of thing, isn't it? But to be honest, I'm loving just being at this level as well. Going to some of the good the guys who are going this level as well. Even teams like Leamington, which is I love going to Leamington. It's like a really good day out. So yeah, it's just brilliant seeing where we are at the moment, isn't it?
Definitely. Right, so Matthew, I believe we've got a few questions on social media that we've received.
Yeah, that's correct. The first one's from Keane, who's a regular traveller to the away games and also obviously the home games. So he's asked whether what our thoughts are on the players' fitness and if we think, that that's playing a big part in our recent form, and how Bobby has sort of instilled that culture of you have to be, in the sort of prime physical state to get into the marine side sort of thing. So just wanted to get your thoughts on that, really.
Yeah, I think definitely. We were talking on the Kidderminster podcast, and they were asking what's been the difference. Well, the difference is a new manager, a new philosophy, and new players. It's anyone who's trying to do a reconnaissance on Marina last year are in for a shock. In terms of fitness, I think the manager's definitely getting the players in now who he wants, and he's got them running through brick walls for him. They're willing to run themselves into the ground, and I think that's been, especially watching the win over Kidminster, was literally energy. What won the game?
Yeah, it's desire, isn't it, as well? He's sort of brought in that culture of you have to want everything and want to win every game, every 50-50, every decision. And that's really why we've seen the players like continuing to press defences and, going full throttle even towards the last 5 minutes of the games, which is obviously when we're holding on to 1-0 leads or even 2-0, they can be dangerous scoreline. So for the players to have seen these games out, even like the Telford game, it's just absolutely brilliant, really. And also, finally, there's a question from Marine Lone Wolf. He asks if the promotion push is realistic. So just your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I think we can keep the level of squad. You're going to get injuries, but if you can keep the squad at the level that we're playing now, yeah, there's no reason why we can't get in the playoffs.
What are your thoughts on that, Jake and Mucky?
Yeah, I think it's mad to say, but I think if we didn't get playoffs or at least push for them at this point, you'd feel a little bit disappointed, which feels mad from coming to the start of the season. But I think it's realistic. If you look at getting those players back that we've got out injured and look at that squad that we'll have as well, it can't hurt. There's nothing wrong with being ambitious and positive.
Yeah, I think it is possible. But I think you will get up to February. Like these bigger clubs will start throwing money at it, which will make it more difficult. But the main thing for me, I mean, obviously I'd love us to get in the players, but the main thing for me is that there's progression from last season. That's the main thing, that you keep building and building. So even if we finish like 9th, 10th, I think that would be an unbelievable season for Grant in his first season. So yeah, but as I said before, I don't think there's much to worry about. And you see what we did to Kidderminster, so there's absolutely nothing to worry about in this league for us really at the moment.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like, didn't someone say the other day, if you include the form from the last 10 games of last season, we're right up there. Not the last 10, but the last like 15 games, whatever. We're right up there, and the start of this season as well. So, your Marine are really one of the teams in this league that the other sides, in my opinion, should be fearing, and certainly shouldn't be coming to our grounds or expecting sort of an easy game. And I think they're not expecting that, which is why we're able to turn over the likes of Kidderminster and also Telford. They're a bit further down the league, but that's what you want, isn't it? You want Marine to be feared by sides and be one of the better sides in the league, which is where we feel like we should be.
So wrap it up now, I think.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.